think we should have done.
Just to advise you that our link has gone live now. We will be starting shortly. We're a little bit behind schedule, but we will crack on. But just to let you know, you're now being recorded sound-wise. So if you want to keep your conversations all clean and tidy, or not.
On the website itself. We do have a YouTube channel. It's something you guys have been used for decades.
Is today.
But we have it on our website.
We have a link.
Right. So we're all in position as RCC.
You are in charge.
Steady your account.
Not today, eh? Right. Splendid. Do we have everyone?
I feel in the minority.
Is that everyone? Everyone back from the toilet?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, it is now 34 minutes past 6 on today, the 8th of October. Welcome everyone. We've got a packed gallery today. So we'll kick off. Number one, apologies and reasons for absence.
Councillor and a dark white has got commitments and therefore couldn't make it tonight.
Okay. Right, I'll propose that we accept those. Does anyone second the acceptance of? All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, declaration of members' of interest in applications for dispensation. Any members have anything intrinsically involved in the papers? Okay. Number 3, deputations from the members of the public. Who wants to do today then? Any hands raised?
Yeah, hello.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, okay. Dr. Stand up?
No?
Okay. It's a very simple issue. There's an L-shaped passage between Cuts Close and St Peter's Close. The short part of the L is about 30 yards long, and then there's a street lamp, and then there's about just over 100 yards with no lighting whatsoever. And it's frankly just dangerous. In the winter, it's slippery, you can't see where you're going. I sent a video, which I hope everyone has seen, which showed me walking down this passage. And a guy walked past me, I didn't even see him. My daughter, who walked to school through that passage, said in the winter used to get the Oakham school kids taking weed and stuff down there. It's just not very savoury. There's dogs, to be simple about it, mess in the passage. You can't see it, and it's. I would hope a simple issue that this passage really does need a light.
You'll probably be pleased to know then that we do actually have an agenda item for that on today's docket.
Excellent.
So, we will be discussing that today.
Marvellous.
Number 12.
So if you want to stick around for it,
I will
very
stick
welcome.
around. I'll stick around.
Anyone else from the gallery? No? Okay. Lovely. We shall then move on to item agenda number 4, which is to confirm the accuracy of both the minutes held on the 14th of May, which I believe was the town meeting, and also the 10th of September 25, our last meeting. No. Lovely. Anyone on the council have any observations to make? Councillor Brooks?
Yeah, we had good time, me and Melanie going through these, but there is one slight slip up in the minutes. It needs to be made clearer what the resolution was on the minute about planted. We voted very clearly that Oakham and Bloom could not place any advertisement on the planters. I doesn't quite read that.
Yeah, Councillor Brooks, I hope you got my email back with me and the chair. I agreed this and we've corrected it to the minutes.
Yeah, I don't have that, so I was busy and I haven't seen that email. So I just thought it has to be said in the meeting.
But does it share the minute number that I'm looking at this?
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's really just a typo, I think, because
Yeah, it is really. Well, it's just grammatic more than anything. It's what you get going.
Which minute number, which,
I'll find it in a second.
thank you.
Just give us 5 seconds. That one. It is the planter enhancement, which is on the May one at 5/25/22. 22. You've probably got it, you're on there. Yes, got it. It's there. We've just changed the wording, which is a bit.
It's the last minute of that meeting.
So it's not changed the sentence, it's just changed the grammar.
Lovely. Are you satisfied, Councillor Brooks?
Yeah, if that's.
Marvellous. Right, so let's take a vote on that then. So I propose that we accept the minutes of both en bloc, the meeting of the 14th of May and the 10th of September, pending those adjustments. Do I have a second?
Are you proposing? Yeah.
I certainly am, yeah. Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. All those in favour of that proposal? That's again unanimous. Good start, everyone. Lovely. Just to interject at the moment, I'm also suspending the standing order for standing while speaking today, ladies and gents. Fitting for today. A lot to go through. Moving on to item number 5, we will have the councillors' reports, but having seen some of the pre put forward questions, there are a number of items that we must address in an exempt session, if we are to discuss those, unfortunately. There are confidential documents and information involved in that, so if we are going to have questions, they will be moved to the end under an exempt session. But do we have any reports from councillors today? No. Okay.
Can I ask why it's been made exempt? Because I wasn't notified of that, and councillors' questions don't generally become exempt items. That's the purpose of it, you're asking public questions.
Okay, there is exempt information in there which is confidential, which we need to consider in closed session, because if we don't, we could end up, as Councillor Nick says, we've already got statements that are implying we could end up with legal action if we don't do that. So we're going to do that. And I'm recommending the chair, and it's accepted, that we go into closed session. Obviously, we don't want the public to all disappear. So my view, and his, Councillor Chris Nick's view, the chair, is we move the councillors' questions, which is coming forward, to the last item. We can then go into closed session and deal with it completely, and then finish the closed.
Would it not be better to advise me of that? So perhaps I could have been given some of the advice and then reworded some of my questions rather than just bringing it now, because it is a public thing, councillors' questions.
Yeah, but the trouble is you've put exempt information in there, in our opinion, which could, and with us going into legal action, we therefore have made a decision, and it was a late decision, that we need to keep it confidential in case, and you'll see why when we get to that, but we'll give you time to frame any question you need to at that stage, okay?
Or could we not defer them until that? I'd rather not,
That's your
because it seems
choice.
a bit dodgy when you've got public questions.
Let's get to that item.
Can we not
Okay,
defer
let's
it
get to that
until
item.
the next meeting?
Yep.
And then things I can have a meeting with the chairman and find out.
Yep, I think that's sensible. If you're happy to then.
Yeah, so can I ask we just defer my questions
Well, it's-
until the next meeting?
I don't think we're giving the secret away, it's your question, Councillor Martin, but.
I know, but it just
So
seems pretty
If
poor
you
that we are not
want to
wanting
withdraw it for this meeting, then we can take it next if you're happy with that, Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll keep my chairman's report brief. I attended the annual meeting of Open and Bloom last week, and it was a really lovely roundup of events. I think they've done a fantastic job this year, as they always do. They were very thankful for the for OTC's support, both with planters and just generally. There was a talk from the gentleman that ran the flower show, which was a great success at the Agricultural Society showground. Thank you. That's what I'm after. So yeah, all in all, really worthwhile thing to go to. Clark, do you have a report for today?
Well, obviously, As for, we've got another report, the office newsletter, so I'm not going to, you've all had that copy of the office newsletter, which gives everything that's, I think, a fairly comprehensive thing of what's gone on this month. I will just update you with a few issues. Only today I've been told that the disability door in Church Street is now fixed, so it works correctly. And it looks as though tomorrow the winch or hoist also in the disability toilet will be fixed. So those two are things. The other thing that's come through, and I may have told you, I'll just do it again. Historic England have at long last given us permission to fill in the hole that appeared this summer in That's Close. So we're now on health and safety grounds. I've got a quote, and it will be done next week, because obviously there is a real chance still, because it's only got temporary barriers around it. The way things go in the open, they can disappear and we'll have a problem. So I've expedited that on healthy and safety grounds. And that's really it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, on to correspondence received. Any further?
No, there's nothing apart from a letter that's complimented us on the work we're doing in Centenary Field. Without saying it, that resident is present. So I've circulated that to councillors, so it's complimentary, but obviously you're well aware, as we've got papers in the agenda today, that we still need to make more progress in that.
And of course, we gratefully accept, praiseworthy emails, so thank you very much. Right, item number 8, we have a paper from Councillor Ainsley that I believe involves an individual sat in front of me in the public gallery. So I'm going to open the opportunity, should you wish, if Councillor Ainsley would like to introduce his paper, and we might have a little performance if it's deemed appropriate. Councillor Ainsley, your paper.
So, I trust you've all read the paper, and perhaps heard my dulcet tones on Leicester Radio, which is hard luck if you've heard that diatribe. I think that the appointment of a town crier, which is a voluntary position, is something that, as I say in the paper, helps strengthen civic pride and enhance council visibility. And I think as we push, I think it's an attraction for the town. I think it's a really good thing to do, and I think that I think it's a really good thing to do. So I'm going to leave it there because you've all read the paper. There are no additional costs involved other than the purchase of a costume. And I would like to, once you've had a chance to listen to Kelsey do her stuff, and I forgot the bell, so that's my apologies for that.
Go outside, it'll be over the window.
So, and I'd like, once she's done her stuff, then I'd like to then make a proposal that we actually appoint Kelsey to the post. So I'll make an adjustment to the proposal, but I think first, if you could suspend standing orders, I think that's probably a good thing to do, and let Kelsey do her stuff, and then bring them back on again.
If deemed necessary, why not? Yes, I would.
Well, is it necessary?
No,
Not necessary, okay.
Not for the short period of time.
It had to be very cool.
You need to stand,
You
yeah.
need to show us what you've got.
Bell, who was that? Bill Bell.
Ole, ole, ole! Hear ye, proud folk of Oakham. By bell and voice this news I cry. Oakham stands strong with head held high. From Castle Stone to Market Stall, yet unity and honour ring out to all. God save the King.
So I would like,
Bell reader here, so we can measure how loud it was.
yes. So I'd like to propose an amendment to the first proposal to recruit Kelsey Monnin as town crier to a voluntary post with the objective of enhancing blah blah. I won't carry on reading.
Yeah.
And that we approve a budget cap. That is the cap. It's physically just saying the maximum we can spend. For the town crier, 450 quid, changed to which we charge to the events promotion and military banners budget of 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Ainsley who wants, question or?
We need a seconder first, really.
Well, we
don't you discuss it
we
before
need
we
to
make that
discuss before we
Yeah,
actually.
you need a proposal and a seconder, then go into discussion. really, that's how it should be, because otherwise, if there's no seconder, we don't have.
All right, yeah, well, let's have a second and then if, thank you very much, Sean. Sorry.
So, away you go.
Councillor
Right,
Owen.
my only issue with this is that you're expecting us to pay this £450, £500 for an outfit that may not get used. It may get used once and then it just gets mothballed. The High Sheriff, the Lord Lieutenant, they all purchase their own uniforms. So why have we got to purchase one for the town crier?
May I respond? Yep. I personally believe this is a voluntary role, and I think it's wrong to ask a person in a voluntary role to actually fund the uniform that we're going to put them into. So that's why I put it in the paper. Open to council to discuss.
I was simply going to ask, thank you, I was simply going to ask if 450 enough to buy whatever we need.
We believe so.
I might have also looked it up and sent certain outfits to.
Thought we'd cover that. Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Can I ask through the chair whether this, can I say young lady, is that, is, a member of the, what is it, the?
Yeah, the Honourable Guild of.
The Honourable Guild of Think, because I read that yesterday, and it seems that we've skipped a lot of the processes they recommend. I like the idea, but I fear, in the same way as Sally Ann has mentioned, if we buy you this uniform, we've wasted money on them, a lot worse than a uniform in the past. What happens if we only do it once? You know, Uppingham Town Council is a perfect example. They had all the singing and dancing of a new town crier, who was a young man, and never used. I've spoken to residents today who've lived, I'm an outsider, and they said that historically, Oakham has no town crier as far as they can remember. The last person I spoke to this evening is about 76 years old, so we're going back a long time. So I'm not against the idea, but I just worry that we're just spending money and it may not happen, because like the young lad that was mentioned, he won a competition 2022, never used. You know, we didn't get adults at that time wanting to apply. Did you? No, we didn't, because that's why the children were entered, because we won't mention names, but the former councillor was sanctioned at the time and couldn't actually do it.
Anyway, we're not.
But anyway, so I don't know how we get reassurance that if we spend this money, it's, you know, perhaps there has to be some obligation. I know you can't make volunteers do things, but surely we need some sort of contract of employment.
Well, I think it would be appropriate to perhaps ask if, under a show of goodwill, we could have a prospective schedule that you'd be undertaking.
Well, when I was asked about taking on the role, we said that it would be the 2 Christmas fair markets to begin with for the end of this year. And I have already marked it off on my calendar, so more than that, I mean.
So we might get 2.
So, really,
Yeah, but we know that we're actively seeking to get much more involved with the community. So there's a lot of other events that we could invite you to. I do feel, and I think that's down to the office to look at opportunities to actually promote, well, the office of Town Crier, but also to promote the town. And we're looking at things like a sickle event in next year, and the Christmas switch on. I mean, there's so many things happening. So I think.
Could I ask a question, Councillor Rains, if I may? Perhaps it's sort of loosely addressed at both of you in this one. Is this outfit reusable to other people should you not wish to continue the role down the line? Is it essentially a unisex outfit?
It's unisex outfit, size-wise.
Size might be an issue.
We'd have to find someone.
Thank you, and I'm presuming Councillor Rains that it would be the same size. It would be, the Oakham Town Council would retain ownership of the style.
Yes. So perhaps could be used in the job of that.
Councillor Harris.
I just wondered if we could insert, Councillor Ainsley, an expected minimum and maximum number of events that we would expect. Sorry, I forgot to mention, the town crier to participate in. So we had some idea it's at least 6, but no more than 10, or whatever that number is. That would then give us the confidence that the money's been spent wisely and that the town crier will have a presence at that minimum number of events, whatever they may be.
Sorry, because there's some areas where the town crier could be used.
I like that to be added. That's what I was trying to get across as a contract.
Very well.
Councillor Lynn.
Would you be?
No.
Very well.
Well,
Straightforward.
I believe in trusting people, and I sincerely believe that we are not yet sufficiently organised to actually determine that we have a minimum of, say, 6. And so I think the number we may be proposing may be on the low side. So I think that's an unnecessary thing. However, we can keep a track on what happens. We'll be engaging in conversations. So,
Councillor Brooks.
We slightly missed the point of the ownership of the uniform. Can we at least have that added in, that it remains
Sure.
the property of Oakham?
I think it's in the contract that's signed, actually. I don't know if I forgot to bring it, but yes, it's in the, we can put that into the contract that's signed, Councillor Brooks.
Yeah,
Splendid.
I think that would make people happy.
Yes, it does, it says it must be returned upon completion of
Oh,
or
Yeah,
termination.
but why don't you talk to it?
Councillor Brooks.
There is one other issue. If we are going to put the town council logo on it, then we must be cautious that the person doesn't then perform for other organisations with our logo on.
Without prior consent, of course.
Yeah, but we wouldn't want to go to Melton and.
Well, there may be a reason why we would want that.
Could be.
I know, but we wouldn't want to be working for another.
I think that again, we can find it in the contract.
Yeah, thank you.
So it doesn't engage further employment with other.
Using our uniform.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I think that's, unless anyone else has any pertinent considerations. We've had a proposer and a seconder, I believe, on that one.
Yep.
All in favour of accepting, there's a, no amendment, lovely. All those in favour of this proposal?
Oh, excellent. Welcome aboard. You may join if you wish.
Thank you, no, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much for having me.
Could I just say thank you on behalf of the council for volunteering the time and effort into doing this. It's very, very graciously accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we going to have an official, introduction, maybe on a market day, on a Saturday?
I think
So that people now know that we have a,
We'll arrange that through the office, yeah?
it would be nice if we.
Yep. Right, okay, now we've got the fun out of the way. It's number 9, bank statements, budget, etc. So, does anyone have any objection to us, I think that any queries may have been addressed already by the Office, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any objection to us doing 9.1 through 9.5 on block?
So not 9.7.
it's 9.6.
9.6.
No, no,
Let's do it on transfer of 5K.
So 9.1 to 9.5. Does anyone object to that? You, Councillor Brooks?
Okay, it's not really an objection. What I found a bit awkward was that the August accounts which we rejected have been just punched in with the September. And I think it should have been put as 2 separate things for us, because I think the fact that we minuted that we rejected them and the clerk kindly told us that that has August issues. I think we should have had it should have been done separately.
Do you want to, can be minuted separately then, Councillor Brooks?
We can do that. Obviously, the papers have got the August papers and the September papers separately. So if you want to take them separately, so 9.1A, 9.2A, 9.3A separately for August and then go to September, then I've got no problem. So I have 2 proposals, one for August minutes, August finances, and one for September one, which you're right, it would be the best way to do it.
Very well. So we'll split then 9.1A, 9.1B.
Yeah.
Which will reflect August and September respectively, as well as 9.2A, 9.2B, unless if that's
Well, just
necessary.
put
otherwise.
all the A's together, or all the B's together, and that keeps it all
Okay.
August, September.
So, does anyone have any observations that they wish to, Councillor Waddle, go ahead.
Right, I've had time to think about this. So it is referring back to the August bank statements. And it was mentioned at the time, but like I said, I've had time to think about it now. Why did we pay £150 to DG Music? That is, as I understand, a deposit for next year's band concerts.
Correct. Yeah.
But who's authorised that? Because we haven't done a budget yet for band concerts for next year. So really, it shouldn't have been, because we might decide not to do band concerts next year.
Okay.
So I think that needs to be looked into as to why it's been paid out before a budget's even been made. I know it's only £150, but as I understand it, DG Music is no more.
I think it's been purchased by someone else, which I think it's still it's a going concern, but it's,
Right, okay.
oh yeah, that
But
was,
even
it
so,
was sold a couple of years ago.
yeah, even so, why has that been paid out before it's even been the budget?
Because obviously the reason is, as people who go to these concerts know, they're very popular and they get hooked up years in advance, like Ed Sheeran and all that. So you can't, when you have musicians who are popular, you have to book them in advance for the dates, otherwise you lose them. So we have to, as a council, decide whether, we want to earmark a booking for next year now, the way it's becoming, if you want to see any good bands nowadays, you have to get them a year in advance, otherwise you don't get them. So the decision was made to book them a year early, because if we didn't, well, then one of the most popular bands that comes to us on a concert would not be there, and that's what we were told. So we had to make a decision, and I think the right decision was to book them to make certain that we could keep them for next year, because they were very popular this year.
Thank you for.
Obviously, if they don't turn up, then we get the deposit.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I thought the other band's been booked as well then.
They
before the budget's
are
been made.
not, we've been to them already, and that none of them are at this moment saying they need a deposit. We've asked them.
Well, no, but have they been booked before?
No, not yet, because none of them have got any bookings for next year. DG have already got bookings for next year.
Right.
Okay, next.
Councillor Brooks was next off the line, I'm afraid. Councillor Ainsley, go ahead.
Fine.
Yeah, I would like to just say that things are slowly improving with the accounts. I did have a concern about the purchase of the laptop. That's been explained to me. We talked about the August accounts, and it's not going to happen again. But I do have a concern about the fact that it was mentioned that the council made the decision to pay the deposit. The council didn't. I'm on the working group who decide now to bring things to council, which they're doing tonight in a paper for Christmas. So I think there's something quite wrong that the office booked it, and especially knowing that that's the band that we might actually decide, even though they're popular, that we wouldn't use them, because they are the result of the noise complaints. And the reason I have to go and give my time to record the noise. And they were one of two bands who were also above the levels this year. So
We didn't get any complaints this year that I'm aware of.
we're lucky.
Well, we had a noise monitor,
Yeah, but we did go over.
so don't say we had any complaints this year, so we didn't.
But I thought we had some right at the beginning. That's what
I
happened.
think so, not.
Anyway, no,
Anyway,
it's not a-
Councillor
it's not an
Ainsley,
issue, but I just wanted to reiterate that perhaps the decision shouldn't have been made.
I accept that,
someone
and maybe
behind
on
the scenes.
hindsight, we will try and keep informed, but
Because it's also come out of this year's budget rather than next year's budget that hasn't even been set.
right, lovely, let's hear from Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, I can't help but feeling this is dancing on a pinhead. The fact is that we have got events that with popular musicians, you have to book early. This has come out of this year's budget. And as long as it's within budget and we're not being asked, then I myself am perfectly happy for that payment to be made. But I understand your point.
And normally we get a list for council approval.
Well,
Yeah,
No,
Ian.
we don't until we get the budget.
All right, Ron, thank you. However, what I will suggest is then, going forward, we will look at, so, any further observations first? Go ahead.
Yeah. Could I just ask what the PHS Group PLC is?
That's one of our favourites.
One of your favourites, this is, for the toilets, Church Street toilets, this collection of nappies and such items,
Okay.
which obviously can't be disposed in the normal way, so.
Offensive waste contract, I think is the initial.
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you. Any more observations?
And we're in a 6-year contract, which we will be looking at very shortly.
Let's do that.
Okay, very well. So we're looking then I propose that I'm seeking a proposal for acceptance of 9.1A, which is the August accounts.
And we'll might as well go with A, 92A, 93A.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5A.
Yep.
Proposer, accept the August accounts. Thank you, Councillor Ainsley, well volunteered.
Hold
Do we have
on,
a
hold on.
second?
5A is this one.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep, I don't know what. can't
Sorry,
see
4A.
4A.
5A.
1 to 4.
Yeah,
Right, that's okay.
Apologies, Councillor Wandsworth, thank you. Lovely, so that's seconded, was that? Councillor?
Yeah, yeah.
Super. All those in favour of acceptance of the accounts for that period, for August, yeah, for A. All those against? And abstaining? There's one. Would you like that recorded, Councillor? Sorry.
Yes, please.
There you go. Okay,
Do I need to say why again?
No.
absolutely not. No. Right, okay, next item, let's do we have a proposer for the same for B? So 1 to 4B, Councillor Ainsley again. Oh, Councillor Wadsworth again, thank you very much. All those in favour of that? Lovely. Against and abstaining and presumably recorded again, Councillor Ross?
Yes.
Superb. Okay, that carries on to item 9.5, year-to-date spend. Observations from the panel. Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing that has, well, going on to recreation planning in general.
Yeah.
It does say advertising has now been overspent. So how do we advertise our Christmas events when somebody's already spent all the money?
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you very much indeed. I believe that the advertising you're referring to is the advertising that is not for event management. So I think you are talking about the advertising for things like additional spend that we made on recruiting councillors, etc., etc.
So if I
As
can,
an example.
if I can offer a little bit of colour to that conversation. Yes, we met as the finance group, didn't we? And yeah, it was discussed as to potentially how we could better ring fence and make more transparent and obvious our spends, because there are a number of things, i.e. that you brought up, like the advertising that appears to be maxed out, but that is advertising for vacancies, for general council operations, not for events, etc., which are and should be encompassed in the actual events, in the relevant events budgets.
Because it is,
So it will be
tricky to divide the two.
So it will be something like events advertising as a subcategory to make it a little bit more obvious for those that are interested to look at that.
I'm sure everybody's interested.
I've looked out and everyone looks a bit glazed. So
Okay,
if that helps to explain that a little bit.
all right, that's it then. Thank you.
Okay, would anyone, that's 9.5. Would anyone care to,
I just have a question.
go ahead, Councillor?
Because it was one of the things I raised about, we had a wrong entry in professional fees last month, but I can't see where that's been put now. I can see it's been looks like it's been removed.
It can't be removed.
I think because it was in legal expenses, but I don't know where you've moved it to. There's so many figures and front of me.
I know the feeling.
The Edison's £3,000 was mistakenly put as legal fees.
Well, that seems to have been rectified then.
So then I don't know where it's been put.
Oh, is it okay, councillor Brooks, if I get back to you with that later, well, tomorrow? Because obviously I can't look at it now in the meeting.
Okay.
But it has been raised as a point clearly and has been, well, we've already picked it up and moved it to the relevant place.
But we don't know where.
Well, we do know where, we just can't recall.
Okay.
I think it's been transferred to the expenditure on the toilets.
Okay.
Which is where it belongs.
That is where it belongs.
But yes, if you could kindly confirm that.
The toilet renovation, EMR,
Oh, there we are.
9400. But I'll check.
Thank you.
So if we're happy, do we have a proposal for the acceptance of year-to-date spend 9.5? Councillor Ramsey, thank you. A seconder, Councillor Watt, again, all over the finances.
Exactly.
All those in favour of accepting that statement? Thank you. All against and abstaining? Recorded?
Yeah, I can.
It's your prerogative, Councillor?
Yeah.
Super. Lovely, thank you, everyone. Right, so moving to 9.6, we are going to move that to in conjunction with item 20, as they are inextricably linked, and it wouldn't make much sense for us to earmark something that is not decided yet. So we're going to move that as that financial element down to item 20.
So that's for the members of the public, that's the open hopper from RCC, 29K.
We're not going to ring fence anything unless we've agreed it. So. Lovely. On to then item number 10, telephone kiosk.
So
Please do.
you will have a chance to read the paper. I just want to clarify something that came through by email. This, any potential budget, which is going to be drawn from reserves, covers not only the painting, but also the modification. So, for example, if we would, the inside would need modification for whatever we decide to use it for. So that's the reason to have the budget. And then again, it's a cap. It's not an authority to spend. And what the proposal goes on to say is that we actually consult with RCC planning and work up a list of 3 suggested alternative uses. I did actually determine whether we have our electricity supply, should we use a defibrillator, and if you look at the newsletter, I popped it in there that said, or asked for it to be popped in there, that BT will supply electricity for the next 7 years, and we can use, therefore, put a defibrillator should we choose to do so. After the 7-year period, things would change. That's in the contract. So, and they're going to charge us £1, and I think it's really something that we should, for cost of adoption. We have the contract which is included in 10.1. To me, it's a no-brainer. We can either let it sit there and we convert it into flats or whatever.
How many did you get in there?
Well, it depends, doesn't it, really?
You want to try it?
But the point being, so the idea is quite simply that we look at the potential options, and then the office comes back with a list of 3 suggested alternative uses, and we just have a budget of, or a cap of £500. So I propose that we accept the adoption of the telephone.
Lovely. Do we have anyone immediately that wants to second that?
I'll second it.
Oh, well then Councillor Brooks. Okay. We will do that
I
on.
have some.
Go ahead then.
I'm waiting for someone. I'll do
So we've got a proposer, a seconder. We best have a debate before we get it teed off. It'll be done and you won't get an opportunity.
Can I? Yeah. First thing, yes, it needs painting because I'm surprised how quick it goes off. I never really noticed any paint in it, but it looks shabby at the moment. But I don't understand what the budget's for when we employ a part-time handyman.
I'm sorry if I left you confused, Councillor
But
Brooks.
also, I won't go on, but also I read the agreement which mentions the electrical work, which appears that we would be responsible for, which is the spur and the light. So I'm not sure that £500 is going to be enough, knowing what electricians cost us. And
We-
then
we shall see.
Can I just finish?
Oh, sorry.
And then it's not just my idea, but I was talking to another councillor, and there is an advert, we don't know how official it is on the back, but we would like that removed, the Savvy travel one, and possibly Oakham Town Council use it in the same way as we would own it, to advertise all our events on it. And then possibly later down the line, because I don't think we're going to possibly get the horrible BT things with the advertising, we could all look at the lovely TV display that's been put up outside the hotel, and that could be put on the back, and we could put our own adverts on it. It's vandal-proof, locked, and it's really quite effective. So I will shut up, but I did put the question of the budget and the fact that I felt that the handyman should be painting it.
May I?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no objection to the handyman getting up there. Should he so wish, I mean, we can't force him to go to the top and paint the roof or anything like that. But I mean, if he's happy to do so, it's within health and safety and all that stuff, there's absolutely no reason. But we have no idea what the modifications are. We haven't decided on the use, so therefore that's the reason for the budget. And also we've got to buy the paint, which I carefully inserted a single pot of paint. The 2.5 litre was 55 quid, so we did 2 of those. You know, so I thought that was a very reasonable, and I just want to clarify that it does cover, the budget does cover modification for alternate use and the subscription and the adoption fee.
Can I just come back? One point I forgot, just one. This business of going to RCC, I'd much rather that we didn't. I think perhaps we could go to the residents. After all, it's their payphone if we adopt it. And they might come up with some ideas that could be fantastic. We don't know, but maybe we do both.
Could I make a suggestion? I don't think that's a bad idea for a public consultation at all, Councillor Brooks. However, it does sort of suggest in there that, you know, there might be some weird and wonderful ones that aren't quite as compliant with planning as one might hope.
But somebody might say we want to do the book swap though, because we lost the lady in the town because she moved.
So I think that's certainly something we could.
I think that comes up with the discussions when we actually explore it.
Go ahead, Councillor.
I'm
Absolutely.
going to say simply by going to public consultation doesn't mean we're going to do what they suggest. It's simply taking on board their ideas.
Lovely, okay.
Okay.
On balance, I think it's an absolutely wonderful idea, and yeah, these are becoming quite sought after things in market towns such as ours, so what a good idea. We've got a proposal, we've got a seconder, all those in favour of accepting that are unanimous. Well done.
Really?
Item number 11, inquiries.
It's me again, is it?
Yeah,
Sorry, everybody. At the last meeting of the staffing committee, it was resolved that all correspondence with the office be directed to our shared central mailbox. That has been in use, but not actively supported. And I just want to stress the last sentence that says, non-compliance frustrates the council's obligations to comply with professional occupational health advice. We are actively looking at that to see whether we can actually share. It's very much down to the individuals. It's a confidential GDPR. So we're coming up with the 4 recommendations. The one I'd like to just highlight is that we intend, or should this motion be adopted, that we intend to take persistent offenders who don't, and this applies to all councillors, who don't actually engage in the spirit of using inquiries, that we will take them for the monitoring officer to come up and see whether there is anything that we can do further. Yeah, that's it really, I think. Hopefully you've all read the paper, and I'm happy to answer questions if there are. Pardon? You're proposing. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Yes. Did I not say that? No. Okay. Yes, I am. Have we got a second, please? Thank you.
Councillor Harris. All those in favour of
I was going to say that, I think.
Can we just make a comment? If we're going to do this, which I don't object to, and for instance, we send an email to the inquiries desk, which we won't pinpoint members of staff, but all those members of staff are going to look at it. Now, accidentally, you could actually reply to their individual email address because that's how they respond to us. And very efficiently in the last month since the clerk's return. So I'm even wondering if this is actually necessary, because every email I've had from a member of staff this month, or members of staff this month, have not come from the inquiries address. They've all been their personal email addresses, so it has to work both sides.
This is something that the staffing committee actually discussed a little earlier, and yes, we need to enforce the bilateral use of the inquiries line rather than anything else to avoid the reply all and it going to unintended or unsuitable email addresses, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will be looked at. Also,
My other thing about this, and I did bring it up the other day as well, is that we have a member of staff to look at the emails and distribute, who doesn't work on a Monday and a Tuesday. So does that mean, and I was corrected, that if you're doing it the way it should be done, then nothing that comes in over the weekend is dealt with till Wednesday? I know the clerk has said that he does it, but is that right? He should be doing it, because then he's looking at emails that he might not need to be looking at in his...
may I? I'll just put a little preface into this. The idea of having the emails, the inquiries line is so that it can be distributed by any member of staff and addressed by any member of staff. So it takes the burden off individuals and it stops the accumulation of certain emails to certain individuals in a manner that is lopsided for the office. So they are empowered to deal with the inquiries inbox as they see fit, and as such that will be dealt with by whomever chooses to do so, is allocated to do so.
But that's not what it's saying, is it? Actually.
Yeah, but could I just come in here?
Yes, you may.
Could I just, what we're doing now, obviously we've now got 3 members of staff. The office will always have someone here, except obviously weekends, unless it's sickness or leave and all the rest of it. We will therefore, and I will therefore, I'm the boss, I'm where the buck stops. I will continue to do the situation, which is also making certain during the week everything is dealt with in a prompt and fair fashion. And in the weekend, almost certainly, and my wife will tell me, I hope this isn't recorded, or it is, I will continue to look, because there will always be the possibility of an emergency event. And I need, as a clerk, to be able to deal with that, and I expect to deal with that, Councillor Wadsworth. And that's where it goes from now on. Like, for instance, the toilets, there's always a possibility, as we've seen from pictures this weekend, that someone will decide to eat what could only be described as disgusting. But we will deal with these, and we will continue from now on. You can have my assurance to deal with it in a prompt and efficient manner. That's what we do and what we will continue to do. Now, in my opinion, we've got the amount of staff and we need to do our job here.
Marvellous. Councillor Brooks.
Can we have it worded in a way that makes it very clear? Because to me, it almost seems like that the staff don't actually need the email addresses for when it comes to us. So could it not be worded in a very straightforward way that all members send in their inquiries to inquiries? I don't like the inquiries address because that's a public email address for that. So I would have thought of a different address rather than the one that's advertised publicly, where our emails will be muddled in with public inquiries. But at the same time that it's put on there that the staff don't use their emails to email us, that they use that. So then we can't get this upset mistakes where you just click reply and it goes to the clerk's email address. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
100%. I thought that's what I'd already.
Yeah, but that's what we need with a proposal. We need to make sure that we
this
get
is about
it right.
Enforcing the policy.
And I don't like the word enforcing, and I noticed it was dropped from the agenda item because it looked quite horrendous saying enforcement, because we don't have the powers to enforce any of it. We have to work with the office.
Councillor Councillor Clark, you're,
I don't know whether this is helpful or not, but, perhaps having an email address which is called office at Oakham Town Council might separate some of the more items that go to inquiries to a separate email address for the office.
Can I just quickly come in on? I don't believe at the moment that we have so many inquiries that it's muddying the waters or actually.
Okay,
If it came to that point, I think absolutely the town clerk is perfectly able to say, change policy, we are going to use, what we're looking for here is a set of email forms.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I will support that, but I also want it very clear that the clerk doesn't email, no, I shouldn't say the clerk, the staff don't email from their personal addresses to us.
I don't see why not, but I do agree that we should be trying to enforce bilateral.
yes, through a singular channel, to enable staff to deal with that. Unless, of course, it is something solely that a singular staff member needs to deal with.
Yeah.
Councillor,
For clarity, perhaps Oakham Town Council email address rather than personal. Because
Yeah.
that means personal means something to me and it might. So it's the Oakham Town Council email address we're actually talking about.
Yeah, okay.
So which is that, which number is that one? So that's researching for it.
No, we don't select that.
Okay. Oh, it's up at the top, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, that the councillors avoid using individual staff email addresses. I thought that was pretty clear. Individual staff email addresses.
Yes, it's when we start talking about personal email addresses.
I don't think
We
we
don't,
okay,
effectively, we should.
So we've talked about that here.
Yes, but it's not actually on the paper.
lovely. Are we then happy for the clerk to manage a suitable alternative to the inquiry, should it be seen fit? We delegate the opportunity since,
The news and office one. So if the inquiry becomes public, office becomes just you guys. We can look into that, so that, I'll have to check with our IT provider and let him know who that's doing. Always seems easy until they do it. I'm sorry, I didn't say that.
can't see an issue. Very well. Any other observations? No? Super.
We have a clear restructured proposal, one proposal rather than all these complicated.
That's who we're looking for.
Well, yeah.
You just
I don't know, I don't-
Doesn't name you on your own, okay?
You happy to just carry on with?
I can't see what's wrong with here. I mean, I do think that perhaps we need to add an additional statement that says actually the clerk has the authority to change inquiries to another suitable address. I think that might be useful.
So perhaps a fifth point.
Yes.
Uh,
To add another, yes, to use an alternate address to inquiries.
Okay, are you happy that you're suitably minuted for that one?
I'm recording it, so.
Oh, of course we are, magical, joy of technology.
Okay.
Lovely, so, are you happy, councillor Ainsley, to do that block, or would you rather do it individually?
Personally, I'm happy to do it.
Yep, super.
Second it, Councillor Margaret. Yes. You second
Lovely,
it?
all those in favour of the adoption? Ah, unanimous again.
Totally.
Carried.
This has got us well.
Well, quorum is right. Lovely, on to item number 12, the passageway light. Lovely, so this is a paper bought by the office. So we have had an inquiry from Mr. John Fowler, who's joining us this evening and gave us a lovely précis of his issue that he's experienced in, regarding the installation for lighting to the passageway between Burley Road and St. Peter's Close. We've had a response, well, should I defer to you to,
You can do, yeah.
since you were the gentleman that,
At the time, yes.
inquired?
Because obviously, Mr. John Fowler brought this up and we pursued it with RCC. They said, first of all, we need you to endorse this as a necessary requirement, and they did, and we did as a council. However, we then got to the stage where RCC, or the officers, made it very clear that the finances were such that although, even though we said this is a priority and important, they didn't feel they had sufficient funds to actually do this. I'm looking at the county councillor and just smiling. So it's up to us as a council. Obviously, this is arguably outside of our jurisdiction, but there are several things that happen with RCC which you could argue are outside of the jurisdiction that we get involved in. So we've had a quote from RCC, which will obviously then go through their RCC ROS contractors of 1,750, because obviously to do this job involves quite a bit of work, which is trenching along a considerable passage to actually put the electricity in and put a new light up. So it's up to the council now, having got the quote, whether they wish to go forward with this or not. That's your decision.
Indeed. We have, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Brooks, you have observation.
You say we have a quote, it says approximate. I would like this to go ahead, but knowing that we should have 3 quotes, and I think RCC would probably work under that basis as well. I would prefer if it didn't say approximate tonight.
It would be nice to have a quote of an estimate.
Yeah, the other issue is that we lost the contract for street lighting, and apparently RCC lost the contract for street lighting. Now, my recollection of it is that we pay the electricity. We won't go into the final details of it, but when I was on this council at that time, RCC said that they would pay for all the installations, repairs and maintenance of street lighting, and we would only be responsible for the electricity. So but on the other hand, I know as a parish council, we can pay for these things, but I find it quite bizarre that, you know, Rutland County Council say that they haven't got the money to pay £1,750. That's a lot to us.
Can I clarify?
Yeah, I was going to say we are blessed with the presence of a county council in our midst tonight, so if I might open up the floor.
In this year's budget, you've already had lots of conversations about your own budget.
Yeah, it's not.
You can't just drop nearly £2,000 into a budget. If you wanted to wait a year and ask again, and they might be prepared to put it into next year's budgeting process, but it won't, you know, there's a budgeting process, as you all know, and it's fairly rigid, sorry, but it is.
Yeah.
And it's not in this budget.
And that was the question I was going to add, where would we budget it from? And then I'd probably get the answer, it's come from our reserves, which is always the same. But I don't really want this to be stalled for, it's not just this resident, it's everybody who uses that path, knowing that in that area we've had a serious incident recently, and not in the alleyway, but in Burley Road, near Cuts Post. But so the gentleman said he walked down there and didn't see the man passing him. That could be a lady walking her dog or anything. So I think it is something we should do, but I'd like to see it done properly with the proper quotes. And is it coming from our maintenance or is it reserves or whatever?
Let's see. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Renzi, you have a...
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm guessing that there is no budget allocated from this year, so therefore it would need to come from reserves, which is what you intimated. And to do that, we need to actually make a statement in accordance with our financial regulations. And I quickly drafted a quick statement that says, Council approves expenditure of 1750 or a cap of 1750, let's put it that way, shall we, which lies outside the budget for financial year 2025. The spend is justified for safety reasons and supports the objective of making Oakham a pleasant place to live. So we have to actually specify the strategic objective and the reason why we want to go out spend on reserves. So I would like to propose that as an amendment. Should we go ahead, the statement that actually, in accordance with the paper that's coming later, approves expenditure outside of budget for fiscal year 2025. And I can give you written notes of that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Nichols.
Yeah, so do we have an agreement from RCC that they would pay for the electricity?
No, so just as a bit of a précis for you, generally speaking, RCC has paid for the lighting infrastructure. OTC has been responsible for the electricity for usage.
Right.
And that is currently the rough way that we are doing.
Community lighting is a budget item, and I think it's 28K.
28K. So we'd have to budget for
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's on our budget for this year, 28K, thereabouts. Obviously, when the electricity bill went up enormously, we had a bit of angst here.
I can't imagine that an extra light would be enormously impactful, but yes, just for clarity for you, yes, we pay the lighting infrastructure. Electricity, not infrastructure, apologies.
I'm worried about the precise figure that Mr. Ainsley has just quoted, because it, as I did point out, it says it's approximate cost.
Okay.
Well, so I think maybe if we, so it doesn't get dragged out for the residents, but maybe we should go higher, a budget cap higher.
Yes.
And then when it comes through, it comes to council for approval, as it should do. But I don't want to stall it.
No, wonderful, Councillor
I would expect, I might be wrong, that RCC are going to use their approved and contracted supplier for all this type of work.
Highways is a rule, isn't
Yes.
it?
And therefore, they should be able to give us a firm price for the work.
So then, shall we, if you would?
It's not as if they're going out to 3 quotes. They've got one. How much is it going to cost us to do that job there? I need to know.
So if you could kindly turn that estimate into a quote.
As Councillor Brooks has provided, there's a slight complication here, and that they're lost. I don't like to use the word lost. It looks as though they're misplaced, but they no longer, at the point in time, you're right, as far as I'm aware, have a contractor that does this work, but they might well get one very shortly. I don't know. I'm looking at the councillor. So when they get one, we will get a firm quote, is what I'm told.
Please go.
We are indeed doing exactly the process which you don't have to do if you go to RFC, which is that we are going through all this rigmarole to fulfil all the obligations to get an approved contractor, which you don't have to do, because we'll have done it.
Yeah, because of paint bodily safety and all the rest.
So the only issue we've got outstanding is 1750 then, so do we go as suggested by Councillor Brooks for say a cap of 2K and then
I would like, Chris is always very cautious, I would say we double it, and then, you know, don't tell Rutland County Council, I hope you know not watching.
This is recorded.
Don't just double we don't have an issue where next month they come back to the office and say, by the way, it's £2,500.
Nor are we obliged to use all of the funds to do so. It just gives us the headroom so that we do not have to revisit this as another agenda item again. So,
I'll just make a couple of observations. It's only going down there and talk to one of the residents, and partly we're talking about the lighting in that passageway, but also the trees that overhang the passageway. So there's something about making sure that they're also cut back. Because when you looked at it, I've got photographs, the trees are quite overhanging part of the passageway itself. The other thing I would say, it talks about here about installing a trench. I don't know what's in it, but down the middle of that footpath is a duct.
It's a drain.
Is it definitely a drain?
Can't put electricity in.
No. Because I noticed, the other thing I would suggest we also need to look at is at the end of that path, the path on Burley Road, is a light. Unfortunately, that light doesn't actually, it shines onto the road, not onto the footpath. So perhaps looking at putting a second light on that lamppost, so some of the light actually shines down into the footpath, which then will give us 3 lights, one in the middle where it is at the moment, and one halfway down, and then one at the end.
would you like to make that? So if we use this paper as the vehicle by which we manage this particular query for Burley Road, would you like to make the suggestion that we amend this proposal to include your suggestion?
It would be useful, again, it seemed to me to be useful when we're looking at getting, because we have to get a quote.
Yes.
We're looking at adding an additional light to the lamp. Would you agree that the lamppost on Burley Road would help to illuminate that end of the path?
No one is supposed to have the dog food in.
Hang on, Councillor, sorry, just to defer to the
Well,
clerk.
that's just, experience told me, and this is always just an annoying fact, but obviously RCC planning have to be involved, because would you believe it? Not I'm saying it's going to happen this time. Some people do not like street lights in their back garden or near their back garden. So the reason we have to go through RCC planning is although you may consider it very important to have light in that area, there may be someone making something up here who's got a telescope who won't be particularly happy when their back garden is illuminated, and they have to have their views listened to. So that's why we go through screens.
Councillor,
One of the things I think we should explore, and that would apply to the other footpath that goes from down to Stanley Road, is low level lights along the park footpath. So it's illuminated at ground level rather than, I don't know whether that would help if you have lights that are this high off the ground rather than that high.
we're
Even
getting
people
potential.
take that to the.
Yeah, that's probably a bit random.
We are getting a little off scope here, guys, so let's reel it back in.
Can I throw a couple of words of caution here? I think you started off with a very sensible, straightforward proposal, ladies and gentlemen. There are a number of issues that I can see coming up. I get lots of complaints from people about lights intruding into their houses. Also, you're assuming that the lamp post will be capable of taking another lamp. It may not. The actual energy, it may not be as easy to fit another lamp on an already existing lamp post. They'll probably come back and find you've got a new, it would surprise me from this experience, instead of a whole new lamp post.
Not if you use LEDs and replace the original, but there you go.
But, you could end up finding yourself inadvertently delaying the very thing that you want to expedite.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that, is Clark, to answer your question, that this has already been essentially, RCC are very keen to go ahead with this, and it's ratified then already in as much that this is the scope they will undertake.
I can assure you that in negotiations with RCC and maybe the county council, I hope we will discuss these matters and try and find a solution if the budget is set, so that I can do those negotiations.
So my suggestion, and I'll welcome any commentary, is that we do indeed double the.
We round it up to 4,000.
Okay, no, I think that's excessive.
It's only camping, isn't it? It's not spending it, but it's
Quite unlike your normal commentary, councillor. But okay, I'll take that on board. So shall we propose then that the budget cap does not exceed £4,000? That allows us sufficient scope to potentially look at other options, but gives us the option to simply explore this one as written. So that
your proposal. Sorry, he's the proposer, so the £4,000 has to be either approved or an amendment.
that's what the paper says, right?
What, £4,000 is not in the paper.
It's Councillor Lindsay's paper.
It doesn't say £4,000.
It's a 1750.
So
So I'm suggesting there's an amendment.
yeah, but it has to come through here.
Why?
Because he's the proposer, otherwise it has.
Oh, I see.
it's Melanie's
Oh,
proposal.
yeah. Sorry, no, but Councillor Brooks did propose it in the original, so he proposed it.
Councillor Angie's paper, I think.
It's not my paper.
No, it's not. But you,
That's what I was saying, but you proposed it, so.
sorry.
So if you would care to acknowledge the amendment, Councillor Ainsley, if you're happy.
Yes, I'm happy. Yes, I don't see how it falls to me, but I'm happy to do so.
Could you spoke first?
If not, I'm happy to propose it.
And we do have to please add in the additional expenditure that's coming from reserves, so that business, the statements I read it again, are we happy with what I'm saying, is that we need to take from reserves?
Yep.
Outside the budget, and it's justified, and we have to give justification reason which is safely and supports the objective we're making of the presentation.
So that gives us then the scope that we can do this work and explore anything ancillary to it without delaying. There we are. So let's say it was proposed by Councillor Paul Ainsley, seconded by Councillor Brooks, who was first off the draw. All those in favour? Marvellous, another unanimous one. Streetlights are going. Right.
Don't expect anything to happen for at least a year.
Stop it. Item number 13, tree survey.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, you're. I did. Oh, no, sorry, Councillor Brooks was was quickest.
Yes.
Right, so over to you, Clark. You have a paper ladies and gentlemen, it is agenda item 13. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is just a simple, as you know, Stuart Kidd from RCC does this on a regular basis. And we need to, especially this year, in my opinion, revisit, and I've already talked to him, and he will be doing it in October if you approve this, because obviously the trees, especially this year, as anybody who's into this kind of thing will tell you, have suffered greatly this year because of the summer. It's been incredibly dry, and many of the trees we can already see in Cuts Close and other places are suffering. So it's important from a health and safety point of view, we get an update on where we are with the trees, because I know that some of them are causing me concern. In fact, as the chair knows, we had one in Cuts Close we had to cut down very quickly because it was rotten to the core, literally, when we cut it down, and it was leaning at about 70 degrees or thereabouts from where it should have been, and it was causing me great concern. So the idea is we get the report, hopefully, we can initiate it now. We should have the report for the November meeting, because obviously also we need to get the contractors in as soon as possible while the trees are cuttable, I nearly said, or prunable, and that obviously is up to March, so we need to try and get this expedited as soon as possible, Chair.
And to then confirm, the proposal is that a ground-based visual assessment for the above mentioned areas will be 1,418.79 ex-BAT, which is within this year's budget set for quantum tree surgery, which was 9,000.
I'm happy to propose that. But
Marvellous,
also, it would be wrong for me not to mention what an appalling state our trees have got into, and I just think that we've been so lucky that, particularly in the recent storm, that we didn't have more fall down.
Well, we're taking affirmative action to sort that problem, and thank you for supporting that, Councillor.
And
we have a second.
The tree that was chopped down was actually in the churchyard, not Cuts Close.
Seconded by Councillor. Oh, sorry, was that a question?
No, that was me seconding and listening to Martin at the same time.
I'm afraid
But
Councillor Clark
I
just
see
beat
him
me to
go,
the
I
punch.
thought I can't bother to put you on that.
All those in favour? Oh, blimey.
Can I offer a little bit of information?
Please.
Councillor Ainsley will remember each week you get a planning list come through. It is absolutely full of references to trees. I've never seen so many, dozens, all over the county, having to have work done. It's very, very sad, it really is.
Yeah. Well, at least if it's kept on top of, it shouldn't be too much of a problem ongoing. Lovely, so that was unanimous, wasn't it? Yep. Bravo. Item number 14, this one might be a touch more contentious. The external audit to review the external auditor's report of 24/25. I think this paper is yours again, Clark, isn't
It is, thank you very much.
it? Would you care to do the honours?
Okay, obviously, as has already been pointed out by some councillors, I'm not, and no town clerk is ever happy with their audit, and I'm not happy with this one, but obviously, without going into details, there have been external circumstances which have meant, unfortunately, I was away for 2 months when the audit was being carried out, and made it very difficult for the office not only to partake in the internal audit, but to get the external audit replies in time for the demands of the system, which are quite rigorous from April to August. You have a limited time once you get the internal audit to get the external audit through. So it's not great, but I would say most of it is administrative mistakes rather than anything serious. And in fact, this is proven by the report and certificate we've been approved. So obviously it's completed reviews of section 1 and 2 and discharge of responsibilities, that's for more. If I could take you to 14.3, I have to explain something to you. So the description of services, you will see effectively that our budget usually is over the order of 1,500 or thereabouts. This year, there is a doubling of that fee because on line 2, you can see an additional charge for consideration of points raised to the external auditor. So obviously I was aware of this and talked to the auditor, and they made it very clear that this was because they had questions from a member of public regards our audit. Obviously, I then had to delve into, as much as I could do, more what it was about, and they said, well, and the regulations are quite clear, this is how it goes. You know, this legislation is unbelievable. The first thing is that the person who gives this question has to be a member of the public who's on the electoral roll. You'd understand that in Oakham Town Council, which is understandable. The second is they must give us a copy of their questions. Otherwise, more external auditor was not accepted. We only have on record three questions from one member of public, and that member of public is a councillor. And therefore, I have no doubt in saying that this expense has arisen from the questions of an Oakham Town councillor. The three questions have been put to this town council already and have been answered by this council. So, and I'll read you a fact sheet from this. If a councillor uses his official town council email, they are implicitly representing the council regardless of any disclaimer about acting as a concerned citizen. In that case, they should seek permission from full council before contacting the external auditor, especially if the query includes costs or triggers information. Would you believe the regulations of this country are that we have to pay the cost of any public questions to our external auditor? So you could argue that we could have 10, 20, 30 questions and we will get a bill which we cannot question from the external auditor. Yeah, and the county councillor knows this. Yeah. And obviously you could argue this is really a system which is difficult to understand. And it makes it very clear that if a councillor genuinely wishes to act as a private citizen, they should use personal contact details and avoid referring to council matters unless they are clearly within the public domain. And they should seek full council approval before initiating contact, especially if using council resources. So you have a situation which I've indicated, and I'm your town clerk, so I have to say where I'm not happy, because I don't think this is the way the council or council should work. I'm not happy also though with the external audit, I can tell you. But considering the resources the council had in office staff during that period, I'm amazed we got through it, to be honest. I came back in the nick of time, I would say, almost, because we only had one part-time staff at one stage, having to try and not only look after the internal auditor, but also to try and get the external audit to a place where they've never done it before. So, to be honest, I would say, and this is the last of my speech, I'm proud of the way this office has got through this very difficult time. I'm not proud of the fact that it's because I wasn't here, but we are now back where we should be, and I am determined that it will continue from here on. But this, in particular, is, for me, as your town clerk, very, very annoying.
Thank you very much. Yeah, worth noting that it was, we as a council, if you cast your minds back, those of you that were here, we acknowledged that this was likely to be the outcome of this external audit, and I believe, if memory serves, we've already resolved to have a bit of a half-time health check. No?
Yes, we
have.
Yes, we have.
Hasn't been brought to council. It was supposed
The
to
financial
come back
government,
to
yeah.
work.
It has been raised because we anticipated that this would be the outcome of the audit, so that we can go forward in a much more positive manner and get a good one for this next period.
The other thing I should have said, that obviously it's outside the external audit has already contacted another auditor who will in the next month or two do another audit. And I'm finding the costs will come to the November meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I also read this and was quite disappointed because I think it's actually the worst out of the last 5 years. I know the person involved. I find it, and I only understand publicly, it was myself who raised the questions, and I followed procedure and didn't actually find anything that said that I couldn't do it as a councillor. But when I wrote to Moore, I copied first to the council, you were absent, I received no replies, you telling me that they did, but I didn't.
Not from the
Yeah, not from the council. When I was asked for evidence from Moores for my questions, so they could investigate, I couldn't get anything out of the office. So I wrote to Moores and said, I retract my questions. And this is before the audit started, so they shouldn't be billing us, because they wrote back to me and they said to me, yes, we accept your retraction, but we will pass on the questions for reference. That's a big difference because they never investigated it. So that's why I said to Mr. Emsley when he...
The rules are quite clear, Councillor Brooks, that if they accept it, they have to pass it on.
But they didn't accept it. They wrote to me, I will show you the email. They wrote to me and said they accept my retraction. And I made it very clear to them that I was writing as a resident, which is my right. And I explained I was not getting the responses from the office and said that it would be a waste of taxpayers' money to investigate it on that basis. And they said, yes, okay. And I didn't hear a single thing back, because if they've dealt with these questions, they should write to you and the council and me to give the answers to those questions, and they haven't. So I think there's a good reason to go back to them and say, hang on, this is not on the resident. And the resident has rights. Yes, I know you're saying that I use my council email address, but actually I'm sitting here holding my hands up. But actually a resident has a right, which I am as well, to not be identified, which I carefully did.
No, that's not law.
Anyway.
But anyway, we won't go down there, but
So
I think we need to look into this.
If you permit me, yes, I think that merits, given that information, I think it merits exploration to ask Moores, without them charging for the privilege of doing so, why we have been billed if you were acknowledged as having a retraction.
And this was before they started the audit.
So if you would kindly do so, Councillor Brooks, if you wouldn't mind sending through, of course, the designated channel, your email to the office.
Yeah, I will
so
forward
that they
it,
can
because it's
follow
easy
that.
to find search Moores on the email.
Thank you. Councillor, you had a comment?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'd like to make 2 comments. One is that using the council email address, just saying I'm a local and concerned resident doesn't negate the fact that it actually came from town council, and actually it holds weight in law that you use the local town council address. That's the first. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. That is factual content I've just delivered to you. And the second thing is that I think we're missing the bigger question. I think we all knew that there would be procedural errors within the actual submission for both the internal and for the external auditors, and that has proven to be the case. But I'd really like to raise the question as why we suddenly found ourselves in the position of having no office staff at a time of high demand with budget questions to be addressed. How we managed to find ourselves in that position. So that's really what I think should be the subject of an investigation, because it comes as no surprise to me. In fact, I agree with what Town Clerk was saying, that actually it's a surprise that we got it. But it came back as it did because we had no office staff or a part-time clerk after a period of time to actually address the issues of the major issues of the budget at that time of year. We did try to engage some help from outside the organisation, but this was, in my opinion, challenged wrongly, saying that Section 116 of the Local Government Act in 1972 prohibited us from actually using a councillor. It is a fact and something I look forward to discussing, that as long as there is no payment changes hands, then advice can be given. And the person in question was the ideal person to address or to assist us at our hour of need. So I think there's bigger questions to be answered.
And a special commendation again, particularly fraught time to Councillor Dowthwaite, who's not here tonight. Because
Precisely.
having been dropped very much in the thick of it with no tangible and standard office support, did an incredibly good job in a very speedy time.
Which I still feel guilty for.
No, it's.
Let's not go there.
Could I just make one more point? Could I just make one more comment?
Yeah, it's fine. The class
Obviously, because of the rules, laws, you had to give us your questions. There is a serious error in your statements, which I have to highlight and say disappoint me greatly. You implied that the contractor who did the toilet renovation for us came in for the church wall contract at a ridiculously high price compared to the other contractors. That is a falsehood, a big falsehood.
Councillor Brooks, you've got a right, I'll give you the right to reply.
Metcalfe, who did our toilets, came in and did the price. They quoted, and Sally Ann Wadsworth knows this because she proposed, we didn't have them, at 13,000 for the church wall, which was the cheapest for the church wall. In fact, the 60,000 came from another contractor, and Sally Ann Wadsworth, quite rightly within her rights at the meeting, said, I would prefer a local contractor, which was RNC, which were, I think about, and Sally Ann Wadsworth might agree, disagree, about £1,000 more expensive than Metcalfe's. So what you put into the external auditor was, I can only say an untruth.
It was a mistake. Because
yes, but you cannot do that.
No, but it wasn't deliberate. It was, if that's what
Metcalfe
if
might
that's
say
what it
otherwise.
was. But then the questions were retracted.
They're still on record.
Yeah. And I've been thrown what I was going to say, but the thing about the staff not being here, that came around because I made a complaint, which is still being investigated. I use the word investigated. And then those staff went home sick because someone leaked on this council, leaked my email to every single member of that staff.
Okay, we're going into.
We're going to touch.
I
said it should be investigated.
Not investigated should be appropriate. But there was one other point. We've had a dig at me about my costs. There was a lot of things in this report that we didn't do, like we didn't put the correct timings, didn't put it on the website, and also, yes, the penalty that the council incurred has not been mentioned. It's small.
270 quid.
Sorry?
270?
It's money. So,
No, I'm not.
So, you know, we've both made mistakes. That's what I'm saying, is we've both made mistakes over it. And I tried to retract my questions, which they don't seem to, even though they've acknowledged it. But you're not acknowledging that there is a huge amount of mistakes in there. We keep saying, oh, we've done well, Anna's done well. To me, that's unacceptable. They tell me off for going on about history. We have 5 years of the most appalling audit reports. We had a bad internal audit report where we had to sit and listen from the person responsible for getting that, saying it was a good report, when the first words in it, and I'm going to shut up after this, said it was poor. You know, so I appreciate, since the clerk has come back, there's been some huge changes. We're not there yet, but let's try and move forward and stop this.
Well, that does require all stakeholders.
And if I
stay
got
true
my
to that.
answers correctly from the office at the time, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this now. So there was an issue with not getting questions answered by the office, which this month, every single question I put to the office, which has not been many, am I correct, Chris? They've been answered.
Way off topic.
Yeah.
No, but I think, but I will shut up now, but I don't want to be bashed for this, when it was part of the time of the council being in a pretty poor position, and it does highlight that the council broke laws, that govern our governance. It mentions that, it's poor governance and things, so it's not me, we're all responsible for poor governance as a corporate body, and we need to sort that and move on.
We do, and as I've said before, I don't pretend that the internal nor external reports have been good. They objectively aren't. However, I think that given the circumstances, we did incredibly well even to get what we did. So that's my hot take on the matter. However, we can, I think we can move on.
Can I just make one observation? Auditors will charge you for opening a envelope.
Yeah, they do.
Duly noted, Councillor Payne, thank you. Yeah, it's just a proposal that we accept findings, that we note the report, and that the financial working group, in support of the office staff, address the issues in the reports and bring back recommendations to full council. I think that's fairly
I'll second it.
Oh, yeah, I'll propose it. Sally Ann's seconds it. All in favour? Against?
Sorry, I'm for accepting what's been said.
You
I was just pouring a drink after.
Over to you.
Should we go?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
Councillor
back
Brooks,
line.
flags.
Yes, we had a policy change, and we forgot to put I'm just simplifying it, we forgot to put the Rutland flag in for Rutland Day, so I'm asking that, there's possibly 2 years left of Rutland, but we put it in, because I think it's important that we do fly it. It was noted that we weren't flying it on Rutland Day.
Councillor
I'd like to second that proposal.
Oh, lovely. All those in favour?
But just before you go, we're too late.
Too late, John.
It's just that we haven't got a Rutland flag that is worthy to fly at the moment, so there could be an expense to buy a Rutland flag. Sorry, Councillor.
Yeah,
we just,
you can get
it's
one
in
of
one
those
rules
for about £10.
Oh, I still have to say yes.
Also, Rutland, the ceremonial council won't disappear anymore.
Well, we don't know yet, do we?
We hope not.
So we were in the throes of
Sorry.
accepting that. Should we have a show of hands again for accepting that proposal? That's unanimous, fairly uncontentious, well done. Item number 16, electricity supply in the marketplace. Take it away, Clark.
Here we go again. Right. Obviously, as has been pointed out by Councillor Martin Brooks, we had a situation which I agree was semi-unacceptable, which is that we've had within the marketplace traders using electric plugs that we have put up, mainly for the Christmas lights, but for other ventures too. It goes far too far back for me to mention them, but they're unmetered. And obviously they are being used by the traders on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and their wall sockets that are getting a bit dated. So obviously we considered metering them and reading them, which is a good idea. Obviously we don't want to be going up the ladder every day because the meter is up. And we have talked with Nigel, who's the head trader at the market stalls, who looks after all the leases, and he's agreed with our electrician that £5 a day, attendance or not, so whether a trader's there or not on a Wednesday and Sunday, if they hire it, he will gather from the usual mechanism, and he will via back transfer at the end of a period, month, 2 months, send it to Oakham Town Council. We will then obviously pass that on to our unmetered supplier, which is SSE, which is what unfortunately he's gone now, the county councillor keeps charging us for all the street lights, but also obviously at Christmas, what we have to do as a council is, it's a strange thing really, we put all the Christmas lights up, which are on unmetered suppliers. We then have to file the contract to get an estimate of how much amperage wattage we've used, which is then passed on to SSE, who give us a bill. So that can be part of that mechanism for passing on and making it legal, so that we know And every now and again, I propose that obviously our handyman will go up the ladder and just check the meterage and see, making sure that we are within the law. So, and also the other thing that the part of this being done before Christmas is that Christmas lights will switch on and off with a proper meter, with a proper time switch. And also the traders will have enough sockets to not do what they do at the moment, which is embarrassing, which is daisy chain. Yes, we won't go any further than that.
And it's my understanding that you, if you care to go into greater detail or not, you've actually gone out to more than one service provider, but the others have come back and said that they are.
If we wish to have this done before Christmas, we only have one supplier, or one electrician who is willing to do it in the time frame before Christmas. And to be honest, it is a health and safety, as Councillor Brooks has pointed out, there is a health and safety issue behind this, because anybody who goes down to the market on Wednesday or Saturday can see it doesn't really do as much favour when there's a spaghetti junction in the air. So this is to make it safe.
Councillor Clark.
You might want to put his surname in the paper as well.
Whose surname?
Nigel.
Oh, yes, I tried. I didn't know if I had. Yeah, I could do, but I thought sometimes they don't like their name. Everybody knows him as Nigel anyway.
I didn't put his surname because of all this
GDPR.
And his son.
Councillor Ainsley. Okay, Councillor Ainsley, that's absolutely sensible there.
Well, I'll try. I'll try. I think we need additional proposals. I think we accept the tax quote, that's fine, but I think we need to actually start to list. So I think we need to document in the proposal number 2
Can you read it?
Yes. Yes. The charge of £5 that will be levied against storeholders and the levy paid directly to OTC per day, £5 per day to storeholders. And the third one is that periodic checks of the meter supply will be made and adjustments to the levy made as appropriate. I think that's important that we actually record the fact that there will be a £5 levy initially and that we will be per day, and then that will be paid to us.
That could be we reduce it.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I think periodic checks of the meter supply will be made and adjustments of the levy made as appropriate.
And presumably we will need some sort of loose contract to manage that.
Well, I think that's true. My personal belief is that that's going to be managed by the ever popular Nigel.
Which is fine, but we should probably enshrine that in writing.
Yeah.
Yes, the levy to be managed by Nigel, whatever his proper name is.
So we can, okay, so we're amending that to include Councillor Ainsley's proposal that we crystallise the £5 and the periodic checking.
Yeah.
I've got that minute down.
And then we authorise Nigel to collect the levy.
That we authorise Nigel to collect the levy and that we enshrine that in writing to communicate that.
Yep. Who's proposing that?
You might actually include the fishman, who I don't know his name after all these years, because they're both leaseholders. So they would probably both have to agree this. They both signed up with Hanbury Estates.
Nigel tells me he is
The name.
That largely, if I might, that would, I think, be largely irrelevant because the electricity supply is several from that contract. So that bears no standing on what we choose to do with our electrical supply otherwise. So it's a
Nigel
separate.
told me he's the lead contractor.
Okay, as long as he's happy.
He's the one who collected it.
So what we choose to do with our electrical points to whomsoever is occupying any space nearby is our own business. Lovely. So that was proposed by Councillor Ainsley, seconder, Councillor Clark, very quick. Oh, sorry.
Getting your name on the
Councillor Harris.
paper.
Sorry, seconded Councillor Harris. I think it was a little. All those in favour? Unanimous. Marvellous. On to, we're rattling through now. Give them a minute.
26.
Let's have item number 17, the Christmas lights switch on.
I believe you've got some
Can do.
If is this something you're in Treadwell, I can see your name.
My name's all over it.
Are you happy to tee us off then, Sarianne?
Yeah,
Marvellous.
right, we decided on the date of the Christmas victory is the 23rd of November. We've had a meeting, myself and the staff, regarding what we want to have done on that day. Basically, we've gone out and investigated, looking at having some Christmas snow globe hire, Christmas hook a duck store, rather than what we normally do is have Ted and sometimes he doesn't turn up because of issues with the weather. Whereas I'm hoping this is going to go ahead. So yeah, basically what we want to do is to spend some money. Obviously this goes over our budget. But what I have suggested is because we were going to use the UK, I can never get those letters out. We were going to use it for the Rutland Day event that never happened. I believe we can use it for the Christmas event, which we've done before, and that would pay for the Christmas globe, the hook a duck, the anything else that we want to throw in there. Firewalker, Filbert the frog, Fox, Filbert the fox, I keep calling it a frog.
He's free.
It's now coming along as well, so we've got him doing it, and we've got the lions doing the Santa. So we've got quite a few nice things coming along that aren't the same as what Carolyn Acton would do with her food fairs, Christmas food fairs. This is more of a family orientated event, basically. So what we're asking is that council approve the entertainment package that's been listed above, at a cost of £2,766, including VAT, with the extra money coming from UKS.
Should I just add, obviously, I'm not going, that you're aware that 17.1 also, that this is from a separate budget to a certain extent.
Oh, there, yes.
Mill Street lights,
Would that have to
Bill
come out of
Angel did it
UKS?
last
Yeah.
year. It's all lights, would you believe, that he's willing to hold the same price as last year. And obviously, if we don't have Mill Street.
Yes, trouble.
We'll have more.
Thank you. So I'd like, if you could add that to the recommendation, councillor Sarianne.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
But that
To
will come-
approve
that
the
will come-
entertainment package for 2,766, including VAT, plus £2,000 for the lights on
Mill Street.
Mill Street.
And presumably.
And on, I'm being
I do
transferred.
apologise, and the other bit, please.
Oh, there's another bit.
There's another bit.
Yeah, the
Open bay.
traffic management. On the post-it note.
Oh, that's on the post-it note,
Yeah.
sorry. Plus there'll also be a charge for the traffic management of £1,630. And we've also been told, which we haven't done previously, but we're now being told that we must have a first aid and lost child at these events as well, which is also going to cost us £480.
Sounds like a sensible.
I mean, you used to add all of that, didn't
Yeah,
they?
do we have a,
calculator.
We've got a mathematician there.
our very own Carol Waterman, what would make it?
Just so many things.
So we should have all the fun experts we can get.
5,870.
3,670.
So that's 1630 for the
Yeah.
TN, whatever that was.
Traffic management.
Traffic management. 2766, can't read my own writing, for the entertainment package.
Yeah,
£2,000 for Mill Street
yeah.
and 480 for whatever that was for, I can't remember.
If you're going to.
That's for the first aiders.
First aid.
I'm sorry to be a pedant.
That's
If
okay.
I'm going to split hairs, this Philip Angel quote is £2,000
Plus VAT.
Ex VAT. This
Well,
is,
we get the refund.
this is including that. So I just want to make sure that we account either way for either gross and net.
So VAT on that is 400, so that's an additional 400, so that's 6,200 and 70, so if we call it 6.5, would be well within,
including that.
including that.
Marvellous. Councillor Brooks, your arm is going to get tight.
That's fine.
Just one thing I want to point out,
Okay.
very quickly, I'm so sorry, Councillor
Would you
Brooks.
mind?
It's up to you, Chairman.
Oh, go on, Paul.
It's just that the UK SPF, I have every confidence that it will be approved, but at the moment we don't have control over UK SPF and therefore we'll have to go to Haley to actually say, yes, that's fine, and I'm sure it will be.
I should say at this point, once again, sorry, Chair, we've already signed the contract with UKSPF, so the funding should be with us very shortly.
But we still need to make sure that it's within the rules.
Yes, that it complies with the.
But I'm sure it will be.
Utilisation.
While we're considering this tonight, when I went to the meeting with Sally Ann and Melanie and the park, we were shown some very nice pictures. So these things are not of the usual standard. Those who remember the Grotty Ice Rink, they're actually very professional organisations. The Globe thing is the type of thing you might see at Westfield Shopping Centre, for instance. So it's not some little, well, I'm hoping it's not misleading pictures, but it all looks very professional. So you have to trust me that we did that. I don't know why we've included the Mill Street lights. It always annoys me that for some reason Mill Street has never been included, and I think we end up paying more money every year for this because it is a separate thing. It should be in the contract
The
for
thing
all
is-
the lights.
Sorry.
It was when it was cut back.
Councillor
We were
Butler?
told to cut back
We
on
were.
Christmas
I don't know why.
decorations.
Well,
And one of the places that we decided to cut back on was Mill Street. In the meantime, we had this UKSPF money coming forward, and we've been using that to put the lights down Mill Street to make Mill Street look a lot brighter. But once that money runs out, then we'll have to go back to the contract and decide whether we're going to put Mill Street back onto the
Could I just
the
make,
budget.
Sally Ann, you know this already, I think, as I talked to you, and I think I talked to you, Councillor Brooks. We went to obviously our contractor who does the rest, and they were 4 times the price of the Philip Angel for Mill Street. So we've done competitive tender.
And I think if we come, I don't know when this contract's up for the Christmas lights.
I think we've got another year.
So I think
Well,
it
we can do
probably
it
should
every
be
week.
plumbed in, and I'm sure that it wouldn't be seen as an expensive addition.
Yeah.
No, I think
That could be remembered.
Every year we can review it.
we welcome the ability to renew that contract for a more competitive rate when possible. I think.
Do we need a proposal for this now?
Yes,
I'm
please.
happy.
Well, I've proposed it, haven't I?
Yes, but you need to change the money.
Right, so we're proposing what the rank was.
6.5.
So full council approves the entertainment package, including the Siltwalker Fire Performance, etc., including first aid and the road closures, which is all part of Martin's Law. Just
And the
got that in.
VAT will.
VAT comes to 6,500.
Yep.
We got it.
Yep.
That's my proposal.
I will second that.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, my
quick
God.
off the mark. All those in favour?
May I just ask a question? What is a fire performer?
It's somebody's going to.
It's one that comes out of the mouth, isn't it? I think.
No, I thought they don't stick it down their mouth.
Well, they might do.
Well,
Yeah, thanks,
so
Jim.
anyway, yes, all those in favour?
Yes,
Bravo.
all in favour.
Unanimous, thank you.
So that's all that's entertainment as well.
I think we were trying to go back to the good old days of the late night shopping where there was entertainment and things.
Lovely. On to item number 18, which is
Oh, God.
Clark.
Yeah, this is simply, I know that some people have been talking about administration on the site. This is simply Rutland, or misspelled that, sorry, web designer who hosts our discoveropen.co.uk as being basically maintaining the site and making sure that it's live and if there are any issues,
This
Just
is
hosting.
This is
just
just
hosting it. That's it. So you can see over the page on 18.1, the cost, which I think is very reasonable, is £275 effectively, inclusive of VAT.
Why does it say monthly hosting on the quote?
Because the rate is £19 per month, and then if you look, it says costing
Oh,
12.
yeah, sorry.
Come on.
lovely. personally don't think there's anything wrong with contentious about that.
So I have an issue with it because this was never put forward at the beginning. I have big issues with this.
With what specifically, Councillor?
With the costs, the ongoing costs. The council never agreed to cover the ongoing costs for this, and we have nothing. Yes, it's a small amount of money again, but we have no budget for it. And we had meetings with the traders where names were put forward who said they would take responsibility for the website, but nobody has.
But this is just for the hosting, the physical hosting of the
This is
website.
physical hosting.
There is no management.
No administration. If administration, we can talk about later.
We paid a
Simply
huge
keeping and everybody.
sum of money to set this up, and we were told that was the amount. It's nearly £6,000 we've already paid them for setting up the website. And that money came out of UKPS, whatever. But also we so if we're hosting that website, which in my view benefits, we're paying to host it.
Yeah.
In my view, comes very thin line of what the precept is allowed to be spent on, because we're not allowed to spend the precept for the benefit of businesses. And that's where we were allowed to pay for the website because it didn't come from precept money. And this is why I wanted the town partnership to take it over, so that we didn't get this issue down the line. Because what else is going to be sprung on us as the time goes on? That's what concerns me. And it is basically, it is a directory more so for businesses.
No.
Well, I think that's up for debate, but Councillor Ainsley had a point, I think.
Yeah, the point I'd like to make is this is actually for the benefit of both. And what we've actually got is an events calendar, and it is still being populated. I do not think that this is going against the spirit of actually supporting Oakham Town. The traders are part of Oakham Town. We're not supporting businesses. We are actually looking to actually make this a better place to live, work and play. That's my view. And I think £19 to host it is something that we should be absorbing.
Would you be happy therefore to propose that we accept that quotation?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Harris, thank you very much. All those in favour of supporting that quotation? Against? Councillor Brooks.
Do you want that called, Councillor?
I'm not too worried about it.
Has carried. Thank you. Right, item number 19, Centenary Field picnic benches. Right. So this is a follow-up from the paper that was originally brought from yourself, Councillor Wadsworth, about the excellent idea of bringing picnic benches into Centenary Field. That I think was supported by a member of the public as well recently.
So obviously the easiest thing is, because this was Charlie Ann's from the start, is if she wishes to, Councillor Sally Ann wishes, sorry, Councillor. If she wishes to address it, I think that's best, because she's the person who brought this forward.
Okay,
If you like.
I have a question before I say anything. The quote that we've got here for this job reference, is it for just one bench? Right. Can I split this then?
That's good like that.
We've been out, we've got quotes for how much the benches would cost, and the costings for the benches is £3,254. And one of them is a disabled access bench, so that if anybody from the care home on site or your, I want to call it Lonsdale House, but I know it's not a Lonsdale House. You know what I mean by that.
Any more
They want to come
accessibility
across,
needs, yes.
it makes it easier for them to be able to sit underneath the table. My concern is, and that's why I was just mulling over it, is the installation of them. I think that's an awful lot of money for one bench. You're talking £2,000 to just put one bench in. And if we're looking, this 2,000 for on the pipe underneath.
From 2-day building limited.
I could make a comment, is there?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know about, because unfortunately I've not been able to attend very often. I didn't know there was actually a proposal for the picnic benches until I just happened to notice in the agenda. I sent a note in about the residents' users' request for more seating and for more litter bins. Just to add on some points I've sent in recently. There are questions about the linking of picnic benches with litter directly. So you couldn't at the moment, I don't think, envisage putting a picnic bench in there without making sure it's got provision for litter, because there are ongoing issues with litter, which I'm actually involved in to some extent with talking to the school. And there are only 3 litter bins within the field. So there is the issue about seating and litter bins. The picnic bench and the disabled people don't actually tend to go into the field in the main. They tend to go to the end of the runway, which is put in the pathway. Those that can walk around may do, but from what I tend to see, it's not a very good surface for them to walk on in the main. So where you located the picnic bench would require a lot of thought, a lot of consideration. So whilst it's a great idea, and in fact the school, as you know, use that field extensively, particularly Harrington School at lunchtimes, 75 to 100 people there eating food, and they enjoy it. It's a great idea for seating, it's probably a great idea for picnic benches, but if it's just one and the cost is affected by catering for the disabled, which is a great thing, it does require some thought, I think, because it's a tremendous amount of money, and if I was guessing, you needed at least 2 picnic benches, and you need probably at least 2 new seating areas, which may be integrated with those. Because at the moment the field is like in those facilities. I don't want to actually drag on.
I do need to dive in here. I need to propose that we extend this meeting by 30 minutes. Yes, why not? Yeah. All those, seconder, Councillor Clark, all those in favour, unanimous. Lovely. Sorry, point of order. Lovely.
Okay, so the cost of the bench, the cost for the 3 benches, which is 2 normal ones and 1 disabled one, comes to £3,254, which I don't see as a major problem. The only issue that I have with it is it costing £2,000 per bench to have them put in.
For the base work, yeah.
And that's no litter bin.
Sorry, I'm just going.
Yes, the litter bins, I've been assured that the litter bins are being looked into, but they're looking at replacing all the bins in the centenary into better areas.
Who's
So,
there?
the office.
We are.
Okay.
I mean, I will say, and you might have noticed if you've been looking, there are 3 bins as an immediate action because of the litter problem I'll just put this carefully, between Lidl and the school, there's I nearly said a rat run, I'm not going to use the word rat run. There is continual traffic between the 2, and the bin that is between the 2 is getting, there was a concrete pad already near the present one. Our handyman had moved the bin that was never used, which was right on the far side near the railway line, to be close to the other one, to at least experiment with getting another bin there, and hopefully the participants of the little run, as I call it, will consider putting some of their litter into that bin, because it's within eyesight and not a huge distance for them to walk. So that's been done today. You will notice it as soon as you go and have a look tomorrow.
Councillor Brooks.
Yes. I was a bit shocked by the cost of fitting these benches, knowing that we have fitted benches other places and probably used a councillor in the past as well. So I think we could use our handyman again to put some concrete down. It just seems, because we're asking here now, just for the benches to be installed, £10,000.
Well, 8,354.
Yeah, well,
If possible, councillor Brooks, it looks like Ms Palmer over there has some light to shed on this potentially.
Thank you. So I did go back and query that price, councillor Brooks, and the reason that the cost is so high is because they went and assessed the area, and the actual field, as this gentleman's just explained, it isn't easily accessible for disabled people. And what they wanted to do was, if they were going to do that body of work, is to make sure that it was as accessible as possible for anybody to use, particularly anybody in a wheelchair, and that they could turn it, manoeuvre the chair correctly. But also because of the cost of machinery and everything else, there is no doubt somebody cheaper that can do that. In the time that we had, that is the only quote that we got back. Whether, if you want to give more time to the office for us to go out and try to get more quotes, but the reason that he stated that price was high is because he was not prepared to do a substandard job based on where it was and for who it was to be provided for, and that was the cost for it.
I accept that.
Hang on, councillor Brooks, we've got councillor Harris who has his hand up.
No, I'll wait. One second on that.
I had 3 points to make, because I remember this from my personal.
Yes.
Do we know there's a demand for 3 benches? Do we know? I don't even know where the area is, I do apologise. Do we know there's going to be 12 or 15 people wanting to sit on our benches if we did them?
It is a well.
During school time? School term?
Yes.
Okay. As well, so.
Well, I drove past there, must have taken it.
Litter needs to be considered. Either we encourage and perhaps even enforce people to take their litter home, or and having run 2 waste companies, I know that that's difficult, but it can be achieved with application if we have long enough. But if we are going to have bins, it needs to match the household waste streams.
Yes.
So we need to have one for glass and tins, which goes in our grey bins, and one for the residual waste. Otherwise, it'll all go to landfill. My third question is, who's going to empty the bins?
At the moment,
The-
it's Glendale.
Glendale.
Anything on that area is Glendale, we have a contract with them.
And do they recycle the waste streams?
No, we have no recycling bins. I don't think, I'm looking at Sally.
So all the
I'm
education,
thinking about things.
all
think
the
we've got
education
any.
that goes on in schools about recycling, saving planning, and it just gets wasted because we chuck it all in the back of the skip and it goes,
This will know.
that can't be right.
I don't think we've got
All our
any.
bins are generated.
Because Corey wouldn't do it. They said it wasn't financially viable for them to do it, but I've done some checking, which I think I emailed, and Glendale do offer the service of recycling.
Yes, they do. I didn't run Corey, but if you try Veolia or Biffa, why aren't we using Biffa? Because they do the household.
Well,
waste.
they are when they went to Biffa, Cora, what's it, what I said to them?
Corey.
They got took over by Biffa, and they wouldn't do us recycling either. But the new, because they said it's too small amount. And also people put up to it. But the thing is, what, if I can just finish with the bits that I wanted to raise. You've raised the thing of the bins. We sat in our last meeting and we did raise that very issue for the office to look into about, we weren't here, I believe, when it got raised again. And we asked the office to look into getting quotes for bins, but also to contact Glendale about the recycling. So I assume because it's been mentioned about bins that they're probably doing that at the moment. So I think it needs to come to council when it's done. They mentioned moving bins. We've got to be cautious about that because the bins are strategically placed to mark out the boundary of the land that we lease, which includes the row of trees. So if you move the bins,
I think that probably documentation might supersede bin
No,
placement as an
it actually
appropriate
helps the grass
metric.
cutters and things, that's why they were put there, it's because two different people
Councillor
working there.
Ainsley and yourself, Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, I think we should bring this back to council. I mean, I think that a quote for 8,354 just for the placement of the 3 tables and the concreting. We haven't really bottomed out what we're going to be spending on bins. I love the idea about recycling. And I have to just say this, in my day, we used a picnic blanket and took all our litter home with us. So it seems an exceptional amount of money, £10,000 to spend for our people to see.
BBC2 was invented.
Well, not just as a pilot, exactly, but I'm just saying that I think this needs to be taken away and brought back to council at a later date with inclusive quotes of the bins and hopefully more competitive quotes for concreting.
I'd be happy to help with the bins and recycling.
Can I make a suggestion, just perhaps to look at from the user or resident's perspective? Because most of the litter, 90% of the litter is from purchasers, possibly a little, but it's paper, it's recyclable. And I think we need to be very clear, and one way is to perhaps talk to the disabled home, have a look at what the school are doing, and help you make that decision, really. And the users, I think they'll use a picnic bench as the seating requirement, not just for picnicking. So it will serve 2 purposes.
They use the bench in the playground.
They do use it, yes.
That's often used, particularly in the evening by kids. So.
The great thing, it will replace that. There is a new table, refurbished table, and a new seat in the play area, which is used as an eating facility, which is so some clear input, perhaps from the user perspective, might just help and clarify the needs. But I would have thought it sounds a great idea in concept, and I think is needed.
I think we're edging ever closer to getting a result on this.
Could
I just say, just to make clarity, you're right about all of this. One of the things we did investigate also, would you believe you can get these screw bolts that go into the ground and they're bolted to the garden. So there are cheaper alternatives rather than concrete pads nowadays, which old handyman could do. Obviously, the concern we all have is we put a picnic bench there, a certain person picks them up, wanders away, when we're going to see it again.
So that, I mean, it's worth noting that that the undertaking to remove the ground for 2.5 metres by 2.5 metres by 112 is not inconsiderable when you consider the machine hire necessary to do that 3 times, and concrete is not the cheapest thing in the world, but I'm sure we can revisit that. So the proposal is to defer. I think it was made by Councillor Ainsley. Do we have a seconder?
Do we need to come back with a date in November?
So should we bring it back to the next meeting?
Is that possible? Yeah. Or do we need more?
Yeah, we should explore the things that happen.
No, let's explore it.
So come back in November.
And that's to explore recycling compliant bins, the Glendale contract to support that, and to look at as a cost-effective solution to the picnic bench as possible.
Yes, I'll just point out, and I do think personally, I just do not understand how Oakham has nothing for recycling.
Because what we have got, they've already taken the one.
Well, we're going to look
we're way off these.
with our new industry experts, we can make some inroads into that. So,
This man, it's your man to.
I'll second that. Right, all those in favour?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Unanimously. Time.
Exactly. Okay, item 20. Yes, 20.
You may have to defer, I mean, you may have to,
Well, let's see, we'll get there.
20 minutes.
Yep, okay, go ahead, Councillor Ainsley.
I just think this is, are we able to defer this? Because quite simply, we know that we've got a meeting with RCC in a couple of weeks' time to discuss the purpose of the hopper. And whilst I glance at the additional increase, I do think that we need to make sure we're getting value for money. So if we can, if the bill has been presented, can we defer this item on the grounds that we need to get more bang for our buck from RCC? And we have got a scheduled
Do you
meeting.
want
So.
to defer this to November?
Yes, I
So
do.
we'll have to defer this. to
Yeah, so-
November as well.
Yeah.
Can
So-
we not deal with that payment? Because I'd like to propose that we don't pay that.
I think that will be improvement given that there's nothing to,
No, we're doing it
That's
today.
the problem, we don't have a contract.
Well, should somebody
We don't
support
have
that
any-
motion, councillor Brooks? That's the thing.
Yeah,
Right,
can I put a motion when we get to that, because that is a separate,
No, this is simply saying that we
Because
defer
there
it
is-
until after the meeting with RCC.
so you're going to block defer, but I want to have a vote on that payment which was moved to the 9 point.
you want 9.6.
Okay, so we're deferring this
9.6.
paper, we'll come back to that one in a minute.
It's a very quick thing, because I'm sure it's going to fall.
I mean, do you not want to do that when the whole paper comes back to council?
Because we're not going to.
No,
Because
I feel that
Because it's a moot point if at that point there's nothing to discuss.
If we defer this one, obviously councillor Brooks, the 9.6 or whatever it is, will be deferred to. So in other words, it will then be passed, there will be no payments over 5.
Okay, as long as we don't pay it.
Yeah.
No, because I'm about to suggest so that I propose therefore that we defer item number 20, the hopper bus, and item 9.6, the
And
payment.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Thank you, councillor Brooks. All those in favour of the deferral?
Till November, yes.
Till next meeting, yes. Thank you, unanimous. Bravo.
You again.
Yeah.
James.
21.
I felt, I basically drafted some additional papers, appendix 2 and 3, which hopefully makes it easier to go through the two-stage process where we authorise expenditure, which is what we've been doing tonight, and then we actually, as we do in 9.6, give some examples of how we release funds for significant payments. There's nothing that's in the two appendices that actually are outside the regulations. They are just bringing together. So I'll read what it says here. These additions provide clearer, more structured guidance on the process for authorising payments or releasing funds, particularly related to high value transactions. And I think it's a no-brainer that we actually try and make that as simple as possible so that we can comply. And there are examples in the appendices of how it, for various scenarios. That's it.
I think that's lovely. I think that promotes financial rigour. So yes, brilliant. Councillor Harris.
Appendix 3, payments exceeding £5,000.
Yeah.
When you ask for a payment, the work's been done.
No, this is release of funds before we can pay it. So
Has the work been done?
Look,
Because if it is, it won't actually make any difference because the work's been done. If you're asking for approval for work that's already been done.
no, we have to ask for relief. It's one of those, yeah, I agree. It's a catch-22, yes, exactly. It just simply says that if it's over 5K, we have to get additional authority to release funds. So we've authorised the budget, and then we then have to go through a secondary process, because I don't.
But we're going to say yes because the work's been done.
Well, if we said no, it'd be an interesting dilemma, wouldn't it?
So why do we need that?
Because, look,
Because unfortunately.
it's in the financial regulations, which is, yeah.
We're bound by it as a non-corporate.
Yeah, it's an ALC model financial regulations, so that's why it is.
Which is a hurdle
I'm
we have to
sorry.
negotiate. Councillor Brooks, you have a comment?
It's for the audit trail.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
it. But
Well, if we said no, it just.
we have said no before.
Yeah.
And it has caused a few issues.
I wonder
we
what.
have- Well, no, because there were genuine reasons for it not to be paid.
Okay,
But we won't go into that. But I had one issue, which I've lost it now on there. Because my understanding is that when we went to Lloyd's, we changed our financial regulations that 3 members, signatories must be considered. And I've read on there somewhere this morning again,
2,
that it said 2,
correct,
which should
Oh,
have,
oh,
that
the town
clashes with our financial.
not at all. It's an addition. Well,
Because,
it's raised,
because
isn't it?
it was a security thing of going with Lloyd's that we had the 3 councillors. So I don't understand why we're now dropping back to.
No, we
2.
haven't dropped anything. All this is echoing what has always been in here. The reason for 3, I can explain why it was 3 initially. The reason for staying with 3, I'll defer to the clerk.
Okay, the reason we have 3 at the moment, and I'm keen to keep 3, is because obviously the process is initiated, which has nothing to do with me, it's to do with the deputy clerk. I then, I'm the first signatory, and two councillors, independent councillors, and we've got three signatories, I think, within the councillors, just in case one of them's ill or on holiday or on honeymoon or something, and they will sign it. So we have two councillors and one office staff who sign the paperwork, sign the invoice. And any of the and either of the councillors will be given a paper copy or a scan, as Chris Clark knows, of the invoice if they wish to see it, especially obviously with big purchases. So the whole process is, in my opinion, replacing, which is that, oh, there's an invoice, I'll sign it. It's now digital and it's thorough.
But we're still
And
having
anybody who wants to
available.
join that train can join it.
There are a total, three councillors,
Yeah.
and there's the town clerk, of course, can actually authorise.
You see, I brought this up when we did the regulations, we knew them. And when I read the guidance, it says that the responsible financial officer, who is the clerk, should not be making the payment.
I'm not.
He should prepare them, but you just said to me that you are a signatory on it.
He can.
Which is making the payment. You just said to me you would be the first
I'll just
person.
explain it, councillor, just very quickly, because we're all getting a bit tired, I suspect.
Well, we need to crack on.
Yeah, there's an invoice, Kathy just initiates it, so in other words, in Lloyd's, she just initiates it, no chance of it going through without initiation. I then see it, get it cost coded with Realtus, so assign it to the budget heading that it is, and say, right, it's now entered to Realtus, it's now this cost code, this budget heading, I'll hand it over to the councillors to look at it and decide whether they want to approve it. And the two councillors then look at it, they can look at the invoice, which is scanned to them, and they can make the decision to do it.
Okay.
That's as rigorous as you can get, in my opinion.
No, that's fine. And now it's been explained to me. I accept that.
Marvellous. Let's
Good.
move to a proposal, councillor Haynes, if you care to do the honours.
Yes, I'd like to propose what's written on the paper, proposal 1 and 2.
Seconded by councillor Clark there, all in favour? Marvellous, unanimous.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Splendid, well done.
It's a great.
Right, okay, let's keep it together. 22, filter training, councillor Haynes again.
Yeah, we're going to have to take money from reserves, the ever famous reserves, or the endless reserves.
That will out one day.
Well, hopefully not, because we've got a damn good RFO. But basically, what this paper proposes is that we finance filter training for members of the finance working group and for office staff, and there'll be another spare seat for anybody else that wants to leave board the bandwagon. Filter training, as it says there, split into 5 modules, can be take up to a year to complete, hopefully not. And it actually obviously improves the knowledge of the office and this council. We can increase it if you wish, if people want to leave the board, but at the moment it's just working groups plus office staff plus.
So who's in the working group?
Paul Ainsley, Chris Clark, Chris Nix, and Hannah Dysley.
Oh, this Jim, have you just put his hand up?
He is.
Oh, and John, sorry, you just put your hand up.
Yeah, you are.
John. And John Harris, obviously.
I mean, it's
Okay.
cracking idea. It's only going to speak volumes again about our commitment to better financial governance, and I think that we can all do with that. It's hopefully again in pursuit of our good and above audit for the next one. Fingers crossed, Councillor Brooks.
Yes, I support this, but as it is training. I'd just like to mention the lack of training. As you know, I had training as a councillor
No, right.
10 years ago.
I
So
appreciate that.
could we look at other training?
Yes,
Bring the paper.
Bring the paper. Right, any training you want.
Research.
So, right, ladies and gentlemen, whoa, let's keep it tidy. I'd like to second that as writ. Would anyone else care to support that? All in favour? Unanimous. Well done, everyone.
Have we rejected anything tonight?
Can I say?
Deferred. Well done.
I'd just like to say a quick word. That was a lengthy and relatively chewy one. Well done for keeping our composure, everyone. That was a delightful meeting by comparison to the recent one. The next exciting instalment of Oakham Town Council will be on the 12th of November at 6:30. thank you ever so much for your
I
participation.
hope
That's it.
everybody appreciates councillor Grant.
Oh, yes,
Thank you very much for
Thanks.
sticking around, guys,
No, no, thank you.
and your input. Thank
You
you.
might get your pension.
I want my money back.
You might get your pension one day.
My third attempt to get the benches in the park.
I do,